The lecturer's second assessment is to find a related article about the topic, estimating evolutionarities, and summarize the article, ensuring that the specific questions are answered in the summary article. Make a link between the article you choose and the topic. Out of all the activities that were given to us, this is the only activity that I had the most difficulty with. Before I came up with all the ideas in the laboratory assessment tool, I had a lot of concern about how or when to begin. The first part of my assessment is the introduction and the author of the title. The article's title is Understanding Evolutionary Trees, and it is a topic to explore with a selection of subtopics. The first subtopic is the importance of tree thinking. At this part, Darwin used the arboreal metaphor to describe the diversification of thinking of species. Phylogenetic trees are the most direct representation of the principle of common ancestry. They can be used to organize knowledge of biodiversity without knowing the details of phylogenetic inference. The second subtopic is the basics of phylogenetic trees. An evolutionary tree is a diagrammatic depiction of biological entities that are connected through common descent. The third subtopic is anatomy of phylogeny. Evolutionary trees provide a pattern of ancestry divergence in descent. They depict a series of branches that merge at point representing common ancestors. The far right, where terminal nodes are located, represents the present day. Internal nodes represent inferred lineage splitting events. Species F is the most distant related of the simple of the species and is known as the outgroup. They can be used to organize knowledge of biodiversity without knowing the details of phylogenetic inference. The second subtopic is the basics of phylogenetic trees. An evolutionary tree is a diagrammatic depiction of biological entities that are connected through common descent. The third subtopic is anatomy of phylogeny. Evolutionary trees provide a pattern of ancestry divergence in descent. They depict a series of branches that merge at point representing common ancestors. The far right, where terminal nodes are located, represents the present day. Internal nodes represent inferred lineage splitting events. Species F is the most distant related of the simple of the species and is known as the outgroup. The fourth subtopic is how to read evolutionary trees. All members of an immediate family are equally related to individuals outside of their immediate family. The relatedness of nested and increasingly inclusive groups is indicated on a tree. The fifth subtopic is type of trees. Some evolutionary trees are designed to provide information on branching order and time, but also regarding features such as species diversity, geological distribution, or ecological characteristics. The sixth subtopic is how not to read evolutionary trees. Misunderstanding of evolutionary trees are pervasive among students, in the media, and among other non-specialists. The following selection describe and seek to correct 10 of the most common encountered misconceptions. The first section is higher and lower notions of a great chain of being. Living species are ranked from lowest to highest. Darwin himself noted that it is absurd to talk of one animal being higher than another in many respects. Talk of higher and lower is a kind of evolutionary ladder. The second section is mainline and side tracks. Evolution is tree-like, does not itself eliminate and progressionist interpretation of life history. Many intuitive representations of evolution is that humans are the main line with all other lineages branching off from this line at the same time in the past. The tree presents an unbalanced right ladderized tree with representative of vertebrate lineages. The third section is reading across the tips. Reading across the tips can lead readers to incorrectly intuit the existence of evolutionary trends. Only a simple comparison of living species can provide convincing support for claims of an evolutionary trend. The primary criterion for scientific classification is evolutionary relatedness. The differences in the degree of physical similarity across lineages are often a confounding variable. The fourth section is similarity versus relatedness. Carolus Linnaeus classified organisms on the basis of physical similarity. Today, the primary criterion for scientific classification is evolutionary relatedness. Many people find it surprising that birds are located within the reptiles and represent the sister group to crocodilians. The fifth section is sibling versus ancestor. Mistaken conceptions that the ancestor of two modern groups must have been very similar to, or perhaps even was, one of the modern group extending well beyond the case of crocodiles and birds. The sixth section is long branch implies no change. Long branch is often taken to imply that no further branching has occurred along the lineage. In actuality, there have been hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of branching events along the lineage. The problem of basal equals primitive is most likely to emerge when the tree under consideration is unbalanced and ladderized. It must be pointed out that the relevant comparison is not between primitive versus advanced. The seventh section is different lineage ages for modern species. Group of species are recognized as taxonomically distinct on the basis of particular characteristics. The overall lineage leading to any modern species is of the same age as the leading to that of any other modern species. The eighth section is backward time access. Many students interpreted the location of the terminal nodes. Many students interpreted the location of the terminal node as indicating time, for example, by reading from left to right or from the leftmost tip to the root. Neither is correct, as time extends from the root to the internal nodes. Neither is correct, as time extends from the root to the terminal node, all of which are contemporary. The ninth section is more intervening nodes equals more distantly related. All modern species is a tree are equally distant from their common ancestor. Misconceptions about relatedness based on node counting could be countered by deleting all but one species reptiles, resulting in asymmetrical V-shaped trees, or adding an equal number of mammals to even out the major branches. In the 10th section is change only at nodes. Terminal nodes can also be misinterpreted if the diversity they sometimes represent is neglected. The important point is that any given node, whether internal or at the tips, represents a diverse assemblage of organisms with a complex evolutionary history.